smooth. Making the transition from back mount configuration to side mount can be super frustrating. This is another topic request from my Patreon subscribers. So let's chat about when and where diving side mount makes sense, some equipment options, and what it takes to make the configuration comfortable. Vámonos! I don't know if you're going to be able to hear all of the flies in the van, but it is obnoxious. We're going to get through it together though. Van life is glamorous. I've covered this in previous videos, but let's just go over really quickly the pros and cons of side mount diving. The pros are pretty simple. You have redundancy, which means you're safer underwater. You have more gas, better trim and buoyancy once you figure it out. Now these next ones are in comparison to double tank back mount. With side mount, you can split up equipment shuffling, so moving tanks from your car to the dive location. If the entrance allows it, you can actually stage the tanks, so you can put them in the water and then attach them once you're ready to go diving. Oh my god, there's so much of it. You're all tangled up. Let me come help. Oy, I'm coming. Slowly. My goodness, you just have a little party back here. Jesus. There we go. Thank you. You're welcome. Your line of vision is expanded because you have complete freedom with your neck and head. You don't have anything back behind you. So this is really important because you won't miss out on things like, say, a sea lion dive bombing from above. And finally, the ease of switching from side mount to single tank back mount. This has been important for me because I am limited in space. I use the same tanks whether I'm side mount diving or single tank back mount diving. They're interchangeable. I just have side mount valves on them. And this is helpful if you plan on traveling and diving with two tanks, because every place you go will have regular tanks and you can dive without side mount specific valves. It's not ideal, but you can. But very few places are going to have the double tank back mount manifold. So that's kind of cool. Cons. Side mount is really cumbersome at the surface or on the boat, which means if you're shore diving, especially with waves, it is super awkward and could even be dangerous. Certain entries and exits can be really tricky. And one specific example comes to mind from my 2 skills you didn't learn in your open water course video, which is the monastery crawl. So you can check that out and see what I mean. I would legitimately only be able to do that exit in side mount if I had smaller tanks. Taking all of that into consideration, in my ideal world, I would use side mount for boat diving or for any spot where the entry allows me to stage my tanks. Point Lobos in California is a great example of that. Otherwise, if you're doing a lot of shore diving, especially with waves, I would suggest sticking with back mount, whether that's single or double tank. Hi, Matt!
Hey! Is it on?
Let's go diving!
Yeah. These are double 120s, so pretty big. A lot of gas in here.
Yeah.
Really heavy. When they're on your back, they're not that bad, but just sort of manipulating it out of the trunk, that's really tough. Picking it up off the ground, that would be really hard, I think. But like I say, once it's on your back, it's not that bad. And definitely in the water, it's not bad at all. Yeah, if it ever gets on the ground, then I'm in trouble.
Yay!
Yeah.
There we go. Equipment. We're gonna hit real basics here. The Razor harness is the system that I use. I like it a lot, but it is an absolute pain in the butt to set up at first. That being said, there are a lot of pros to this system, including the dual bladder, and its size and weight makes it amazing to travel with. Apex. This harness comes with the sliding D-ring system on the waistband, and people either love or hate it. The nice thing about this one is that the harness is made out of individual webbing sections, which makes it a lot easier to adjust. X-Deep. This is the gold standard for cave and technical diving. Loads of people dive with X-Deep and they love it. The only issue I ever had with it is user error, and that's specifically if you're dealing with the classic version. You need to remember the bladder. It is not attached to the harness. And one day I definitely forgot the bladder and delayed the diving for the day. So it never happened again, but that was a thing. Hollis. I've had several people ask me about the Hollis Katana. I don't know how you pronounce that. Number 2. And one of my patrons said they really like diving with it, although it has some places for improvement. One of their examples was just the placement of the hip dump valve. You want to make sure you're happy with the placement of the dump valves because that's what you're going to be working with during the dive. The inflator hose is really only there for descending. This one is also advertised as being easy to fit, so that gives it another little gold star. One thing I learned recently, and this came from another small frame diver, is that the Hollis Katana 2 is quite large. So I'm assuming that that is the bladder size. Good God. So the bladder usually goes along the back and encompasses the back. So that means for anybody with a petite body, it may not be the right harness for you. And I say this as a 5'4" person at about 135 pounds, somewhere around that, give or take. Yeah. Learning side mount. Proper side mount training with an experienced side mount instructor is essential. I recommend buying your harness and then working with your instructor to get it perfectly fitted to your body. Make sure to pay attention during your fitting process because anytime you lose or gain a significant amount of weight or you change your exposure suit, tri-suit, it's going to change the way that your side mount harness fits, and you're going to need to make adjustments yourself. That means the side mount specialty course is a great place to start. Some instructors will bundle together side mount plus cavern, side mount plus Tech 40, or they could even offer a mega bundle of side mount, Tech 40, 45, and 50, which is what I did. And I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't do that. Although it's not necessarily a bad idea to bundle courses together, I just personally think that you will get more out of your courses if you take the side mount specialty and then focus on fun diving in the configuration until you get comfortable in it. It takes around 10 to 20 dives to feel comfortable in side mount. I personally really struggled because I went straight through everything, and I think it would have gone a lot better had I just slowed down a bit. Funny story, Itor was my side mount instructor, and I hated side mount when I first started. Buoyancy and scuba diving really came quite naturally to me. And so when I got into side mount and had so many issues with like leaning to one side and not being able to hold my hover, especially doing safety drills while maintaining that perfect trim. Or maybe I would keep the trim, but I'd be like swimming around in circles because I couldn't stay still. Drove me crazy. There were tears, big emotions because I was very frustrated. Ah, good times. Other random tips. Figuring out your weighting is a little tricky with 2 or more tanks, especially if you're diving with aluminum tanks. You'll be significantly overweighted at the beginning of the dive, but you need to make sure that you have enough weight to be able to finish your dives when both tanks are positively buoyant. Another thing to consider for configuration with your harness, I really like the way that the Razor has one bungee for the tank necks, and both sides are connected with bolt snaps. I doubt that other people do this, but I actually use that bungee to hold my fins as I'm walking to dive sites or doing whatever. It frees up my hands so I can record and whatever else I need to do. It keeps them out of the way and it doesn't add to my gear. A lot of people, when you're diving single tank back mount, you'll add like a carabiner or something to hold your fins. That's great when you're diving with that setup because you don't have a million things attached to you, but with side mount you have all of your regs around you, right? So adding another clip for that specific purpose doesn't make sense. That may just be a weird me thing. Another thing that really helps for transitioning from back mount to side mount is to really work those low back and glute muscles that I mentioned in my buoyancy video. A lot of the time in diving, we have sort of saggy knees, right? If we're doing like the frog kick position, our knees are lower than our torso, and that could be an overweighted issue, or it could be a muscle issue. So engaging those muscles will help to lift up, and also having the right fins will help with this. Look for your legs being in line with your tanks. That gives you those super streamlined position and looks really good underwater. So that's what I got. I'd love to hear from other back mount to side mount divers in the comments. What helped you with the transition and what were some of your struggles? Let's share, because I think most of us felt pretty out of our element when we first started side mount diving. That's it for me. You know what to do. Hit the like button, subscribe if you aren't already, and you can join Patreon for more extras from me. See you in the next one. Okay, love you, bye.
Right there, because I'm not quite sure, I might let it out some. Yeah, perfect.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Positive?
Positive.
Okay. Okay, here we go. One thing I learned recently. Whoa. Oh my god, I'm gonna rip my nose off. Smooth. Oh my god, that actually kind of hurt. Take two.